Welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about how to get a higher paying job. If you watched my last video, you know that we talked about how important it is to increase your income year over year over year. And one of the most straightforward ways of doing that is by getting a higher paying job. But easier said than done, right? Yeah, maybe. But before I became a real estate agent, interviewing people was a huge part of my job. I probably interviewed over 300 people in my last job. And I'm gonna share some of the things that made people stand out in that process. So the first thing everybody thinks of is a resume. Actually, hold on. This is the resume that I applied with for the job that I had at my last company. This probably doesn't show up very well, but this is a framed resume. My wife framed this for me when I got the job because this resume is horrible. I put the wrong graduation date. I had punctuation errors. I spelled detail-oriented wrong. I said experience with adhering to policies, proofreading documents, blah, blah, blah. She literally circled it and said, "Are you sure?" So the first thing I want to point out is resumes are not as important as you think. On average, our team would look at a resume for 5 to 8 seconds before determining whether or not they would be a good fit. That sucks. Like, you only have 5 to 8 seconds to impress someone on a piece of paper? Like, screw that. But here's the thing, we had 1,400 applications to go through every year. So when you're writing your resume, that's the mindset that you need to have. Someone's not sitting down at your resume and, kicking back in their chair and going, looks like Dave volunteered somewhere. That's really cool. I wonder what project he did. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, he's got some references down here. Okay, that's great. Let me go ahead and call one of his references and have a 15-minute chat. Nope, doesn't happen like that. But when your resume came up, we would look at two main things, your education and your experience. But Kevin, I keep getting screwed over because I don't have enough experience. First off, totally sympathize with that. When we did our interviews, we weren't necessarily looking for years of experience. We were looking for initiative within the industry. So yeah, maybe you didn't have 3 years of working in ClickView, or maybe you didn't have 3 years being a business analyst. Those are skills that we can teach you. What we want you to have is the basic industry knowledge to be able to come in, and when we start using terms, you don't fall behind. And you have to communicate that within the 5 to 8 seconds that we're looking at your resume. Second thing to bring up when you're trying to get a higher paying job, have a contact on the inside. Literally just start asking around to friends and family and say, hey, do you know anybody who works for this company that I'm applying for? Hopefully, you'll have an uncle or a friend or somebody who has maybe a third degree of connection to somebody who works there. Do whatever you can to get that person's email or call them or meet them or have some way of making contact with them so that ideally they can pass along a recommendation for you for the job. That will go 10 times further than a resume ever will. We would get recommendations from people and immediately put them into the interview process because we value our team's opinion. So if our team is saying, hey, I really think that you should interview this person, we're going to. That person has to prove themselves in the interview, but it gets you past the hardest point of competing with 1,400 other resumes that are in the docket. Now let's say you have no connections whatsoever. You've talked to everybody you know and nobody knows anybody who works for this company. Walk through the front door. You'll probably walk into like the front lobby area and maybe there's a receptionist there, and talk to the receptionist. Say, hey, I'm interested in working for this company. I have this specific job that I'm applying for. Do you have anybody that I could talk to or any suggestions on how to, maybe get my foot in the door? And then see how that conversation goes. If she says something like, oh, well, all of our applications are done online. You can log on there and that should answer any questions you have. Go ahead and do that. But on the website, there should be something like a contact us or a meet our team page. Click on the meet our team tab, find somebody who has a job description that kind of matches what you're looking to do. They'll probably either have an email or a phone number or something to reach out to them, and then contact them directly. You have to make contact with the decision maker for the position that you're applying for. It will put you leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else. Okay, so you've made it past the first 2 steps. You've put together a resume that can be easily read in 5 to 8 seconds. You've talked to somebody at the company, and now it comes time to prove yourself in the interview. This might be an unpopular opinion, but unless you're working in the finance world, don't show up in a suit and tie. If you're applying for a job at an ag company, you're going to be interviewing with a panel of people that are, in a flannel collar shirt, jeans, and boots. When you show up with your, fancy tie, $100 suit jacket, slick shoes, they're going to be like, yeah, who does this kid think he is? You will get more respect from the people interviewing you if you show up with a dress code that is appropriate to the industry, because it shows you did your research and you know what you're walking into. Okay, so now you're dressed appropriately for the interview. You didn't overdo it. You're not in your swim trunks. You're appropriately dressed. Now here is where the magic happens. The person interviewing you is after 3 things. 1, is this person, you, teachable? 2, would this person be a good culture fit? And 3, how much downtime am I going to have before he gets up to speed? So number 1, teachable. Are you set in your ways? Have you been doing this for 20 years and this is the best way to do it and you're not open to any other ideas? When you switch companies, they're going to do things differently than you've done in the past. So you need to be able to communicate that you've got a foundational knowledge, but you'll be able to adapt to the ways that this company operates. Number 2, and probably most importantly, culture fit. Are they bringing in some dud who's just going to be a jerk to everybody, who's not fun to be around? Yeah, getting the job done is important, but your people skills and how you treat your team is arguably more important. So in that interview, you need to be able to communicate that you would be a good culture fit for this company. And an easy way to do that is just to go onto their About page on their website and just read it. If they have values that are important to them, memorize those values, because the company, I guarantee you, in the interview is going to ask, hey, have you looked at our company? Do you know our values? I guarantee it. So if you can be prepared when questions about the company come up, you are going to impress everybody at that table. And number 3, how much downtime is there going to be before you get up to speed? This is different than question 1. If they just had somebody quit their job and now there's an opening that's kind of a vital position, it is important for the team to be able to find somebody who can fill that gap ASAP. Teachable is important because that's going to carry through your job. That's more of like a long-term view. Number 3 is a short-term view. Like, hey, we need somebody to pick up the ball real quick. So if you can cover all 3 of those areas in your interview, you got it. Piece of cake. And as always, thank them after the interview. Follow up the next day with an email thanking them for the opportunity to interview, and you're happy to answer any other questions that might have come up in their discussions. One last comment. If you are a perfect culture fit for the company, I guarantee they will find a spot for you. If you walk in, crush the interview, and by the end of it, they're feeling like you're a part of the team, they will find a job for you because they don't want to lose good people. That's partly my story. I interviewed for almost like a senior level position, did really well in the interview, but ultimately I wasn't qualified to have a senior level role. So I brought up another position that I had my eye on, and they were like, absolutely, let's get you in ASAP for an interview. And then boom, that's how I jumped from a $13 an hour job to a $55,000 a year salary. And you can too. Every 2 years, switch jobs. Watch my last video for an explanation on that. All right, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. This is a brand new channel, so please like and subscribe. I still get notifications every time somebody subscribes, and it makes my day. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time.